Broadcasting live from the Albay PIO News Center, providing you the most exclusive news update from all over the province. This is 12 o'clock Newsbreak. In the local scene, the Department of Agrarian Reform, DAR in Camarines Sur 2, is expecting higher production and more income for 5 agrarian reform beneficiaries as organizations, or ARBOs, after it distributed 9 farm machinery and equipment worth 930,000 pesos. According to Monica Camacho, DAR Camarines Sur 2 Senior Agrarian Reform Program Officer, the ARBOs can have additional income by allowing their members and non-members to rent the machinery. Among the farm machinery provided by the DAR under its Climate Resilient Farm Productivity Support Program for the first quarter of 2024 were hand tractors, rototillers, rice threshers, and corn shillers. Another story, the National Food Authority NFA Bicol on Thursday, April 18, said it has prepared sufficient funds to buy palay during the ongoing harvest season. In a phone interview, NFA Bicol Regional Manager Julie Llanareza said they have allocated a budget for the procurement of palay for local farmers under their Cereal Procurement Fund. She said, aside from the funds they allocated, the incentives and subsidies given by different local government units or LGUs in the region are a big factor in encouraging local farmers to sell their harvest to NFA. Among the LGUs with agreement with NFA, an agreed amount of subsidies were the PGA with 3 pesos per kilogram, Malinao to 50 pesos per kilogram, Barcelona Sorsogon 3 pesos per kilogram, Matnog Sorsogon 1 peso per kilogram, Sorsogon City 7 pesos per kilogram, and Camarines Norte 5 pesos per kilogram. Llanareza said the NFA Albay has surpassed its provincial palay procurement target for April by 107%. In other news, a member of the New People's Army NPA was killed and 2 others were arrested in a clash in Barangay Magogon, Camalig Albay on Thursday, April 18, the Police Regional Office PRO 5 said. Lieutenant Colonel Malu Kalubakib, PRO 5 spokesperson, said the encounter ensued after a concerned citizen reported to the Camalig Municipal Police Station about the presence of armed men in the village. A joint team from the Philippine National Police PNP, Armed Forces of the Philippines AFP, and the National Intelligence Coordinating Agency NICA proceeded to the location but was met by gunfire by the armed group, resulting in a 30-minute firefight. No casualties were reported on the side of the government troops, while a rebel was confirmed slain and 2 others were arrested according to report. The troops launched a manhunt in strategic areas to intercept rebels who were able to flee the scene. Kalubakib identified the slain rebel as Chad and the 2 arrested as Marcy or Massey 42 and Ka Yeng 44. In the national scene, the Department of Energy DOE said Sunday, April 21, it has ruled out sabotage as the cause for failures in some power plants in the country amid rising temperatures. DOE Assistant Secretary Mario Marazigan said they have not seen any signs of sabotage and that the incidents which hampered the full operation of some power plants were just because of the high demand in electricity. He added that the plants also sent them reports and pieces of evidence regarding the hampered operations and internal problems which they deemed sufficient enough to cause a problem in its full capacity to operate. The official added that there is currently no forecasted yellow or red alerts on the country's power grid for the upcoming week since the supply of electricity is still at a normal condition. In other story, Senator Robin Padilla has filed a resolution for a Senate inquiry into what he said were possible press freedom violations in the indefinite suspension of Sunshine Media Network International, which was ordered off the air last December. In January, the National Telecommunications Commission, NTC, suspended SMNI indefinitely after it received reports that the media company defied an earlier 30-day suspension imposed by the House of Representatives over its alleged franchise violations. Padilla, who chairs the Senate Committee on Public Information and Mass Media, said in a release that the baseless suspension of SMNI operations not only constitute a denial of due process, but also an erosion of press freedom. He said in his resolution that the NTC had failed to explain why it ordered the suspension and express how this is necessary to avoid serious and irreparable damage or inconvenience to the public or private interests. SMNI anchors and reporters in January sought a Supreme Court relief for the suspension, saying the NTC has no power to revoke a legislation franchise and that the agency violated its right to freedom of expression and of the press. In other news, some government agencies are mulling the possible addition of a dedicated motorcycle lane in EDSA to combat anew the heavy traffic. According to the Department of Transportation DOTR Secretary Jaime Bautista, the agency already has initial discussions with the Metropolitan Manila Development Authority, MMDA. The official added that based on a study, around 170,000 motorcycles used EDSA daily. According to Bautista, the economic cost of traffic and the additional cost or fuel spent while in traffic, including lost opportunities or time with the families. He also cited a 2012 study stating that the economic cost of traffic in Metro Manila is 2.4 billion pesos a day. The study also showed that in 2017, the economic cost reached 3.5 billion pesos per day, and the latest was in 2022, where the losses rose to 4.9 billion pesos a day. Bautista added that the study projected the losses to skyrocket in 2030 at 9 billion pesos a day. And in the news outside the country, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said on Sunday, April 21, he would fight against sanctions being imposed on any Israeli military units after media reported that Washington was planning such a step against a battalion for alleged rights or violations. On Saturday, April 20, Washington was planning to impose sanctions on Israel's Netza Yehuda battalion that has operated in the occupied West Bank. The Israeli military said it was not aware of any measures being taken and that Netza Yehuda battalion is an active combat unit that operates according to the principles of international law. In other story, Israeli forces killed 14 Palestinians during a raid in the occupied West Bank on Saturday, April 20, while an ambulance driver was killed as he went to pick up wounded from the separate attack by violent Jewish settlers, Palestinian authorities said. Israeli forces began an extended raid in the early hours of Friday, April 19, in the Nur Shams area near the flashpoint Palestinian city of Tulkarm, and were still exchanging fire with armed fighters well into Saturday. The Tulkarm brigades, which groups forces from numerous Palestinian functions, said its fighters exchanged fire with Israeli forces on Saturday. And finally, in the news outside the country, the United States on Thursday, April 18, effectively stopped the United Nations from recognizing a Palestinian state by casting a veto in the Security Council to deny Palestinians full membership of the world body. It vetoed a draft resolution that recommended to the 193-member UN General Assembly that the state of Palestinian or Palestine be admitted to membership of the UN. Britain and Switzerland abstained, while the remaining 12 council members voted yes. Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas condemned the U.S. veto in a statement as unfair, unethical, and unjustified. And that's all for the 12 o'clock news break, April 22, 2024. We'll be right back tomorrow for more news updates. And thanks to our 12 o'clock news break writer, Franchemay Porras, and on the technical side, Chad Bobis. And of course, our Provincial Information Officer, Attorney Mary Luduga Castillo, and under the supervision of our Governor, Attorney Azil Greg Slagman, I am Greg Hallare. Thank you for subscribing.